In Tinykin, you play as a little space traveler who crash lands on a strange new world, and in order to make your escape, you need to solve its mysteries with the assistance of a legion of helper buddies. So yeah, Tinykin is Pikmin, except it's also a delightful 3D platformer. Taking control of Milo, your abilities are simple but immediately helpful. You don't have a double jump, but a glide that you can strengthen over time. It's the only skill that needs upgrading. You won't be able to reach certain collectibles without doing so. And all that takes is nabbing a bunch of pollen, which is basically Tinykin's version of Mario's coins. Every one of the Little Me Big World levels feels massive. Yes, because you're so small, but also because there's a ton of vertical space to explore. As you make your way through this very normal to us house, you learn about the new small lore from its inhabitants, which are different species of insects. Ants, shield bugs, dragonflies, and more fill every corner of the environments, and while you could expect them to be thin on the development side, I was pleasantly surprised by how much personality every single one of them had. You can talk to all of them, and while some have single sentence responses, many have a brief conversation with you or another nearby NPC. Exploration is really the key in this game. It's a collectathon for sure, but with no enemies to fight, it's just finding solutions for how do I get there from here, and it's an absolute joy doing so. With each level, you meet more types of Tinykin which give you new ways to traverse. Pink interacts by knocking things out of the way or carrying objects for you. Red is when you need explosives, and yellow builds ramps. Each color has very specific puzzles to solve, so you won't have to worry about the early game having tasks you'll miss. There's no returning to the first level because you need the final ability to unlock. It's just stacking as you progress. Complementing those mechanics is a warm and welcoming aesthetic. While the environments are artfully constructed, they're pretty straightforward assets, so contrasting that with absolutely adorable character designs, which are stunningly animated, really makes the world pop. It's a direction that invites you to just keep roaming around because the children's book vibe lulls you. Again, a lack of enemies means it's simply relaxing to go about each level's tasks at a leisurely pace. For the most part, performance is incredibly smooth, but I did run into a few moments where the frame rate would dip. But this was isolated to times when I'd be jumping on small platforms like the leaves spiraling up a houseplant stem with nearly 100 Tinykin following me. Considering it's the only hiccup to occur and I know the game is trying to figure out how to place all these helper beings on a space built for 1/3 as many, it's pretty forgivable. Tinykin does a few things we've seen before, but in combining those features and mechanics, it ends up feeling both familiar and fresh at the same time. You should absolutely play it.